is asking, despite COVID-19 mitigation guidelines, several election night watch parties are planned inside bars and restaurants and large crowds are expected. Are there any plans to address the large gatherings with enforcement efforts at the state level?
Well, let me start by saying that local officials, local law enforcement should be standing up and enforcing the rules in the state. And you know why? Because weeks from now, when people will end up going to the hospital as a result of these gatherings that are being allowed and are the failure of enforcement, that those local officials and people who live in those areas will be coming to the state to ask us, what are we going to do to add hospital space when the hospitals are full? And of course, we're going to do everything we can, but it's these local officials, if they don't do their job, then we're going to end up with hospitals having to turn people away. And that's just not something that I find acceptable, and that is why local officials, that is why people all across the state, need to stand up and make sure that they're doing everything that they can locally, state's attorneys, sheriffs, law enforcement, elected leaders, to enforce the rules here so that we don't end up with a terrible nightmare of a healthcare situation and people dying because they can't even get treated in their local hospital.
Bloomberg is asking what public safety precautions are underway in Illinois for the election. Has the Illinois National Guard been deployed?
So we've been in contact with virtually every law enforcement agency in the entire state. We have the state police, of course, which are the best in the nation. They are on duty. And the Illinois National Guard has been put into a state of readiness just so that they, if needed by local officials, they could respond relatively quickly.
Jim, Brendan, Dave, all in Springfield have the same question. Springfield and Sangamon County announced today that they will allow indoor service to continue at 25% with some other limits. What's your reaction to their plan that defies the state mandates?
Well, see my earlier comments. The fact is that local officials who are not doing the right thing are the ones who are going to be responsible for the rates of infection going through the roof and our hospitals getting overrun and people are dying if they don't enforce the rules. That is why those rules exist. We didn't make them up. The doctors all over the world have put forward studies, and it's very easy for you to find those. I've provided them to every official who has asked for them, and frankly to every media outlet. We know that the places that are remaining open, that are having large gatherings and defying these rules are, in fact, spreading locations. These are places that are amplifying the virus across the state. And so, when you've got double-digit positivity rates in your area, as is the case in Springfield, then the local officials need to take the laws that are on the books and the regulations that we've put forward and the orders that we've asked people to follow and enforce them locally.